Welcome to Showing Up Solo with Hannah and Nicole, your guides to navigating online marketing for your business.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our bonus episode for this month. Nicole and I are joined today by the amazing Jane Carter of Jane Carter Coaching. She is a business coach for solopreneurs. And Jane, why don't you let our audience know a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm just so excited about what y'all are doing. This just seems like such an amazing program. So I live in Asheville, North Carolina, so you'll hear a slight Southern accent. And I started out as a therapist. I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years, and got some business coaching as I was starting my private practice, 7 years ago. And I loved it. And I was kind of blown away by how much of that, my therapy skills actually came into play in terms of building a business. That so much of it is about mindset. So anyway, long story short, I started coaching other therapists in their private practices and then expanded that to other businesses. So I specialize in solopreneurs, specifically people who are building service-based businesses. And yeah, I love to help people with, their strategies and their practices and their plans, but also with the mindset side of it, all that emotional stuff that can come up while you're building your business. So, yeah.
And you're the person really that has like so much knowledge and experience with that to support people through that journey. So that's really incredible that you can do that for people. Yeah.
Gosh, it's so much fun. It's just my jam. It's really fun. But yeah, I think obviously in both businesses, I want to help people know what actually makes change happen, because we can get all the steps and all the strategies and the tactics, but that's not enough. If my favorite quote is Derek Sivers. He said, if knowledge were the problem, we'd all be billionaires with perfect abs. Mm-hmm. It's okay. So how are we getting in our own way? What's keeping us from doing those steps? And that's the part I feel very privileged to have some skills and, to be able to come alongside people in that part of it. So, yeah. Thanks.
That's so wonderful. And I think mindset is something that I found myself as a solo business owner and a solopreneur, service-based business owner. I never thought mindset would be such a big deal, like underselling yourself, undervaluing yourself. I've always been a helper. I've always been someone who likes to help people. And so it's been a real challenge for me to, first of all, like to value what I can bring to the table and to see that it's okay to make money from that and make a living from that. And I'm sure you probably come across that all the time.
Oh, yeah. Jane. Yeah. I work with a lot of therapists in private practice, but I also work with a lot of artists and creative types and, people who are putting so much of themselves into their work. And when we're putting, when so much of our work is reflective of who we are, or we're putting our heart and soul and even spiritual side into it, it can start to feel, icky, or, what's to make it all businessy and to put money on it. And people can start to feel like, ooh, is that bad? Am I commodifying the essence of me? Or like, how dare I make money from helping people? And it's especially for women, and that's a whole other rant I could go on, but it's such a mindset block to overcome. And what I really like to help people see, and it's still sometimes a hard one to wrap my mind around, that when we're charging good money, we're actually helping people. That often when we're selling to people, when we're charging a lot, when we're placing a high value on what we're doing and marketing to people and all of that stuff, we're actually serving people, or we can do it in a way that's really serving people in the process.
how, I just would love to know how you get to that mindset place. Like, tell me now.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get to that place yourself?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say I've arrived. I mean, first of all, let me be clear. This is an ongoing process. Every time I picture a spiral. Every time I go to another level in my business, it's like, oh, the same issues come up where I'm like, okay, I'm raising my fees. Am I hurting people? No, it's okay. And then so the same stuff will keep coming around as you build your business, and that's okay. And that's to be expected. But a few ways to think of that, like, so even just, on a practical level with marketing, the best way we can market to people is by serving them, either through, teaching, educating about the service, educating, giving away a lot of what we do to build that trust, entertaining in the process, so that in itself is serving people. But also, if someone really needs what you have to offer and you don't market it to them, or you refuse to sell, as Marie Forleo says, you're stealing from them. Like, they want what you have to offer. And think about the things in your life. I'm sure we all have certain things that we're like, shut up and take my money. I'm so excited to pay for this. We're not gonna, like, it can be fun to find a deal, but there are other things where I'm like, I'm gonna spend so much money on this thing because I love myself and I want it for myself, and I'm gonna value it, Yeah. So you selling to people and marketing to people and charging people even it's giving them the chance to invest in their results and invest in what they want.
Yeah, it's like going for a manicure or something, right? Like, I could do it myself, totally, but I love paying to get someone to do my nails because I'm paying for some me time. I'm paying for some self-care for myself. I'm happy to spend that hard-earned money on doing something good for me, and someone else is making money from that, and they're not stealing from me. I'm like, take it.
Yeah.
Well, I like the way that you really worded it in a way of like, you're doing someone a disservice by not providing them with the knowledge and the tools to walk them through this. Like, by avoiding this, they're looking for somewhere else. And if you have like the tools and the capacity to support them through this journey, why not walk with them?
Mm-hmm.
Why push them in someone else's direction when you know that you could do an amazing job?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. There was some marketing person that I was following, and I'm going to screw up the quote, but I put it on a Post-it somewhere. It was something like, sell to them so that the jerks don't get them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I love it.
You know what I mean? That if you have something that's going to help them, sell, that it's a service. Now, where we get sleazy or whatever is if we're like, yeah, this isn't actually what they need, but I'm going to convince them that it is just because I want the money. Right? Or if you're actually caring about the person in the process, where it's just like, money. Okay, well, yeah, don't do that. But don't tell yourself that that's what you're doing when you're actually selling something and, charging money for something that's really valuable. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I love that don't let the jerks get them quote. That's going to go on a Post-it note for me too. And I think you're right. Like, a lot of people are really scared of being that sleazy, I'm going to take you for all you've got kind of vibe. And I think there's a lot of negative associations with selling and marketing as well, like that we're promoting lies or falsehoods and stuff. Like, it's just got that negative connotation associated with it. How do you help someone move past that?
I often hear people say, well, I don't want to be like a used car salesman or whatever.
I was thinking that same thing.
It always comes up, right? But again, the whole idea of that is that they're selling a lemon, versus if someone needs a good used car, like that's good. So one thing I'll say off the bat is, if you're that worried about it, you're probably not going to turn into that person. If you're really worried that you're sleazy, you're more likely to be undercharging.
Okay.
Would you
So,
almost say as well that, someone who's worried about selling could also be concerned of their own skill set? Like
Oh, yeah.
they're already like doubting themselves, so they don't want to support someone because they don't value the work that they're already doing.
absolutely. So, I mean, one thing that I talk about with people a lot is that money mindset, or just the way we think and feel about money is often about us and us, the relationship that we have with ourselves and with our worth. And that can go way back, right? I mean, on a societal level, again, there are a lot of messages about money and about helpers and about women, but also just so many people. I honestly, I can't think of anyone I know who doesn't have a little bit of a weird relationship with money or have a weird money story, whether it's, I mean, I have counseling clients who have suddenly come into a lot of money and have tons of guilt about it. And it's kind of traumatic because it changes their relationships with their friends or whatever. And then I have people who have money trauma from growing up in poverty. I mean, people are weird about money, and we all have these weird money stories. And so our business is kind of nice. It's a challenging but important arena for dealing with that old stuff. I'm going, okay, what do I want my money relationship to be like? And what does a healthy relationship with money look like? And what is a healthy relationship with my own worth? And all that I have to offer and to bring. What do I want that to be like?
Yeah.
It's
I've come to a realization this last year about a money block. My money mindset is really closely tied to my dyslexia, weirdly enough. I've always assumed that everything wrong in my life is my dyslexia's fault. And anything, like any strength that I have is not a strength. It's just something that anybody has access to. So I've always felt like I've always associated hard work, like I have to earn, praise. I have to earn strength. I have to work really hard. If it comes easy to me, it's not worth anything. And so that's challenging when you're trying to make a living and not getting burnt out. And so, like, one of the best pieces of money advice I got was charge the most for what you find easiest, which is, I'd love your thoughts on that kind of.
Yeah.
Because that's where your genius area is. And you're absolutely hitting on something very common, which is this idea that I have to be working really hard or I have to be suffering for this to be worth charging for or to be worthwhile, right? And again, that's an old story. And I believe you that it's probably tied up into all kinds of messages and experiences you had with dyslexia. So even just that awareness of, that's a story, or like, that's old stuff. Is that necessarily true that I have to be working really hard? Maybe not, And I mean, I have a client, we've been working together for several years now, and it always comes back to that same thing where she's like, but this is easy. And I'm like, it's only easy because you spent your whole life having all of these difficult experiences to work through, studying, reading books, learning, thinking deep thoughts. It took you a lot to get to this place of that being able to be readily available wisdom that is super easy, right? So it
Yes.
It may not be hard now, but it might have been hard then, and it's okay to get back pay for your trauma, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And if the other person values it, right? Like if that's what someone is placing value on and it means a lot to them, great. And I'll tell a quick story. And I warned y'all, I love talking about this, so I can ramble. But I was talking to a therapist client recently who a big financial firm hired her to come do burnout prevention workshops for their people. and she was going to charge her hourly fee as a therapist. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, for you, that's what you value your time as. But for them, the value is, we're in the great resignation. They're terrified that their people are going to leave. And if their people leave, they're going to lose tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. And they have a ton of money. And if you undercharge, they're not going to value what you're bringing in. They're going to think you're a joke. So I was like, double what the estimate you were about to give them. And she was like, oh. And I was like, just do it. And she came back. She's like, they didn't even hesitate. They took my doubled number. I was like, I probably should have told you to quadruple it. But the lesson being that if you look at the value to the person or to the business or what, if you're looking at, I'm valuing it at this because of my fear or whatever, this is the standard rate, but like, this is how this is going to impact this person's life. This is the true value of this. And they're going to be happy to invest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were getting a steal anyway. If you think about how many people she was giving therapy to in one, like, in one go, like that was a steal.
It was a steal.
If she was to see everyone individually, it would have been probably 10 or 20 times.
Yeah. So it's just, I think again, like the self-awareness of, okay, these are my money stories. If you can go, okay, but these are stories, then you can, in the moment when that fear comes up, you can go, okay, what's the value of this? What's the value to the person? What's the true story here? And who knows where you're going to land, right? But it just helps it become less automatic, and that guilt starts to become less automatic. And the first time someone says yes to your really like juicy, awesome price, it's going to feel so good, where you go, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's
I love the fact that you take the emotion or the thoughts of it and remove it from yourself, and you tell someone to question those doubts of yourself. So really try, instead of making it about you, it's like trying to separate them, and you're talking to someone of like, is this real? Should I accept this as fact?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I find myself saying both in my therapy practice and in my coaching practice a lot is that we are shifting, like anytime we start to get into self-judgment, we need to shift into curiosity and observation.
Mm-hmm.
So like, even if you're like fully in a shame spiral, just like, ugh, and you can't just box up your feelings and put them away, like you're feeling it. And yet you can sort of tap into this part of yourself that's like, isn't this interesting? What's going on here? Like, what are the thoughts and the feelings and the voices and the stories? And is that necessarily true? Even if you're feeling it, right? It just helps you observe it, so that then when you're observing it, you can replace it with different concepts, or you can totally reframe it.
Yeah. Just taking a step out of the woods so you can see the trees, basically.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really anxiety provoking to start a business and to sell. And I mean, I still get nervous when I do sales calls. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's just a thing. And yet, and so anxiety wants me to turn inwards and get really self-conscious. But if I can shift back outwards and say, wait, what's serving the client? What's serving the client? It gets me less self-conscious. And again, you start to realize, oh, no, this is helping people. So even charging money, I do want to talk about like what you charge really matters, because if you undercharge, you are doing people a disservice, because they're not going to put skin in the game. They're not going to value it as much. We really value the things that hurt a little bit to pay for, or, price is so subjective. It's ridiculous how subjective price is. I've had some people, when we were talking through coaching packages, they're like, that's so expensive, I can't possibly do that, you're charging too much. And literally the same day I had someone say, if you're not charging enough, like you're undercharging, how are you going to help me charge enough if you're not doing that? Like, this is ridiculous. So it's all over the place. But if you're charging enough that it's a little bit of a stretch for people, man, they're going to show up, they're going to do the work. You know, if you don't charge enough, they don't bother with the service that you're offering them.
No.
Well, that makes me think of, like you said earlier, when someone really wants to buy something for themselves, they're going to buy it.
They're gonna
And that just kind of shows the stage they are at in their journey as well. Like they really want that. And just because someone's not buying your product or service at this time, maybe they're not ready for it at this time. Maybe they will be at that stage down the line. So that doesn't have to say anything about your pricing.
Right.
It could say there's so many different things that could be from that.
Absolutely. It could be that they're genuinely not a good fit.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want clients who aren't ideal clients. Like, no, don't.
I've always found with my ideal clients, we find a price that makes everybody happy. Like the ones who turn out to be a dream to work with generally don't flinch at my prices. And we just like, because it's that mutual respect and value too, right? Like they're like, if this is what it costs to have you in my life, then that's what it costs.
Yeah.
Oof. If you're on a sales call with someone and they're angry at you for selling to them or, or whatever, or trying to nickel and dime you down, or again, if they just don't want to buy it, I mean, you're learning everything you need to know about like this. Okay, this is not a good fit. And that's okay. I want you to happily let people go. Your ideal clients are going to be happy to pay you for your service, and they're going to value it, and they're going to tell their friends. And I mean, I even tell my coaching clients, like, put on your list of ideal client attributes that they happily tell their friends about you and they happily pay you. So yeah. And I was going to say, selling. So something that you said, Nicole, stood out to me too. When you're selling to people too, your energy really matters, because standing in the worth of the work that you're bringing to the world, as Ramit Sethi says, like revering your own work. If you're in love with what you're offering, your energy is going to be so different. And if you come on a sales call or, whatever type of interaction, I'm just using my own example, and you're like, so, okay, I know this is a lot, but, the price is this, but I have scholarships and I do that, like if it's like, this is the price, people read your energy and they're like, oh, this must not be very good. But even if you're faking it and the first few sales calls I did, my knees were knocking under the table, I'm just from here up. I was like, okay, so here's the price, and I have payment options available, but like, how is that going to work for you? Da, 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 da. So just this very like breezy, like, of course, this is what I would charge.
Yeah, this is just
they read your energy and they're like, oh, okay. Or if they're like, gosh, that's a lot. I mean, I had someone in my therapy practice, he was like, so I have to ask, you don't take insurance and you charge more than everybody, what's so great about you, Jane? And it was like my nightmare question. I was so scared of that happening. And he asked the scary question, like, why are you a big deal? Who do you think you are, basically? And I took a deep breath and I just, I get really good results with my clients and I believe in my work and I think we can do some great work together. And then I just like, I had to sit there and not like, but I'll charge you less, just like hold the tension. I just sit with the tension and I held the silence, sweating, and because we were on the phone anyway. And then he was like, okay, and so, and then I like collapsed after we got off the phone. But every time you go through that and you hold your value and you act as if you truly believe that this is worth a lot, because it is. Yeah. You start to believe it and you start to really lean into that and know that, and they believe it too. So, and they get better results. It's kind of, in a weird way, it's like the placebo effect. I mean, they've even shown that like a pill for Parkinson's, they charge some people $95 and other people $5. And the people who paid $95 got better results, even though it was just the same pill.
Wow.
Because money tells a story. It speaks. So Yeah.
Those are really powerful stories because when you hear them, you think of your own experiences. And like I've had similar ones where exactly that. I had like the one where I felt really insecure about what I was selling, and someone picked up on that. And then I had the other side where it was like, by the end of the call, I was like, oh, I'm exhausted, but I feel awesome.
Yeah. And like that's such a great example. Like sometimes people are going to say no and it's disappointing. Yeah. That doesn't mean you have to chase after everybody. And at first, if you're first starting something, of course, it feels tempting to chase after them. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, this means everyone's going to hate me and I'm never going to get any clients. And it's like, no, you keep at it,
I always talk about marketing and I guess selling too is a bit like dating. And you don't want to date everybody or get married to everybody. Like you're looking for a long-term commitment, and that's not going to be with everybody, right? And your sales calls are kind of your way of figuring out if you're going to be a good fit for a long-term relationship, or if it's thank you, I'll find some moving on. And it's okay. Like no one expects you to be in love with everybody. So why would you be a good fit for everybody to work with?
Exactly.
I love that analogy. It is so true.
Yeah. I love it too. Because I'll use the dating analogy too, and that you build trust through your marketing. The first time you meet someone, you're not like, want to get married? Want to sleep with me? You're like, it's more like, hey, let's start a conversation.
Yeah, I'll swipe right, but let's keep. Yeah.
You got to be able to swipe right on yourself.
I love that. Gotta be able to.
I do too.
Oh gosh, Jane, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so much fun. I have to say, you're such a fun person to chat with and to work with. What I would love for you to do is maybe just give us your final thoughts, your little. If you want someone to have one takeaway today, what would that takeaway be?
Oh, this is a deep one, but it's my main one. Your business is here to grow you, not just the other way around. Your business, it's pulling for you. It's not trying to beat you up. It wants good things for you. But all of the little problems and challenges and learning how to sell and learning how to put yourself out there and like all of it is here to expand you and to help you learn to have that better relationship with yourself, with your work, with your money, like all of it. Your business is here for you. It's growing you. And if you can know that, you can enjoy the process, even when it's not enjoyable and it's hard. Yeah. But yeah, that's my main takeaway that I hope people get.
I love that. I just really internalized that. So thank you.
My pleasure.
I love that. I don't think I've ever really thought of it that way. That's going on a Post-it note too.
Yeah.
Sweet. I made Post-it notes.
You made Post-it notes.
As a Post-it note junkie, I take that as a high honor. So because I put them all over my house. So yeah.
So Jane, for anyone who's listening or watching, how can they get in touch? How can they work with you? Is there anything you want them to know before you go?
Yeah. So, my website is janecartercoaching.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Jane. Wait, what is it? Jane Carter Coaching.
Jane Carter Coaching.
What's my handle? The most.
We'll put it in the show notes anyway.
Which Hannah is my Instagram person, and
I just happen to be Jane's Instagram manager.
So, oh my gosh, I appreciate you so much. So you can follow me there. Go to my website. I have some freebies. I have 5 ways to make more money in your business now. I have permission slips for perfectionists out there.
I love your permission slip. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. I do some free online coaching events. I do online Q&A calls once a month. So anyway, I would just love to interact with people, and I have a blog and all the stuff and all the things. So yeah, I'd love to meet some of y'all.
Jane
Well,
writes
thank you
a
for-
great blog, by the way.
Oh,
Keep
thank
listening.
you.
It's a hilarious read. I get so many newsletters and I don't often open them, but I always open Jane's.
Oh,
It's a good read. So.
Well, thank you so much, Jane, for joining us today. Just all the messages and everything that the takeaway that you have shared with us, I think is a very powerful thing for anyone really to hear. So yes, thank you for joining us today.
thank you so much, Nicole and Hannah. It's really an honor to be here. And I'm just really excited about what y'all are offering people. I think this is so valuable.
Well, thank you for being our bonus guest. And for our members, if you're on the fence about becoming a member, Jane will also be offering a bonus training inside our membership, only available to members. So if you want more Jane,
Coming at you.
become a Showing Up Solo member, and let the fun continue.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Want more from Hannah and Nicole? Make sure to sign up for the Showing Up Solo membership, a monthly membership with guest experts, free resources, and a members-only invite to our live content batching sessions. A wonderful opportunity to meet new people and get advice from Hannah and Nicole live in person. And as always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. See you next time.